Welcome to itsavgbltpta, which stands for I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway. The decade is nearly over, so now it's time to look back on the best games. One game per year of the decade, I'm counting US release date, one game per franchise, and then a big award for best franchise of the decade at the end. Also, these are my personal picks, games that I remember fondly or really struck a chord. These almost certainly won't be your picks, and you may not even know some of them, but that's the fun of personal lists. I want to start things off with an honorable mention for Best Games I'll Never Play, the Dark Souls Trilogy. As foretold by this YouTube channel's name, I suck at games. Mostly it's a lack of reflexes and also the lack of patience to practice and get better. The Dark Souls games require good reflexes and a shit ton of patience, so I'm never going to play them. I've tried, trust me. But I love watching other people play them. The atmosphere, sounds, and indirect storytelling technique make for an awesome viewing experience. Alright, now to the decade. 2010's pick of Final Fantasy XIII is one that a lot of people may scoff at. It's a divisive game for sure, but it kept me engaged enough to get through the end in an era where I rarely beat games. I'm fine with linear games, so that major complaint of 13 never bothered me. I'm one of the 5 people in the world who actually like Hope though, so take my opinion as you will. The graphics are gorgeous, the music is catchy, the battle system is easy to learn but hard to master, and despite the story being overly complex, it still brought a tear to my eye by the end. 2011 delivered Portal 2, and I wouldn't dare pick a different game for that year. This game had me going back and forth between feeling like an idiot for not knowing how to proceed, and then feeling like a Mensa member once I figured it out. Portal 2 brought out the big guns with the characters as well. The origin and potato fate of GLaDOS, more of the spectacular Cave Johnson, and newcomer Wheatley, whose banter throughout the game kept me very entertained. Do I need to explain any further why Portal 2 is a good game? Because I'm not going to. Everybody already knows. 2012 was actually a difficult year for me to pick, but mostly because there weren't any amazing standout games that I played. Tales of Grace's F is a solid JRPG, and is my favorite Tales of game so far, so it gets the pick. As cliche as it is, I still enjoy when the power of friendship can save the day. Combat was a little hard for me to get any good at, but hey, that's what easy mode is for. I did like the ability to permanently learn new moves or get stat buffs once certain titles are mastered, as that made finding or earning some of the obscure titles worth it. But more importantly, I liked the characters and wanted to see how their journeys played out. 2013 is when Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate came over to the US. I'm not gonna lie, I admire and respect the Monster Hunter series, but normally it would never be a favorite or make my top game of the year. But 3 Ultimate really brought a lot of us together. Monster Hunter Mondays would see anywhere from 6 to 13 of my friend group grab our 3DS systems and head over to someone's house or apartment so we could play for hours. You know how they show that group of people meeting up together to play in the commercials? That was us. We complained about janky hitboxes and the underwater combat, and half of us didn't know what the hell we were doing most of the time, but damn was it fun. 2014 saw me spending way too much money on shipping at the Square Enix store to get the special edition of Drakengard 3. Any game made by Yoko Taro is bound to be a crazy trip, and hoo boy does Drakengard 3 deliver. The gameplay is the standard Dynasty Warriors fare of go out and kill a whole slew of enemies, but the characters and just plain weirdness is where the game shines. Zero is awesome, the slow reveal of what's really going on through multiple endings is intriguing, being able to control a dragon and destroy shit is fun, and the whole game is just a mess of comedy, craziness, sexiness, and gore meshed together in a very entertaining package. 2015's pick of Undertale gets the distinct honor of being so good I actually played it on my computer. And I really don't play games on computer. But after watching some Let's Plays and hearing all about it, including the awesome music, I dragged myself out of the console zone to play it myself. The fact I loved it even after knowing what was going to happen goes to show what a great game it is. The music and many leitmotifs fit each place and story beat perfectly. The characters are bizarre and honestly kind of uggo, but they're endearing nonetheless and got me very invested in their fates. The bullet hell / dialogue choice turn-based battle system was unique and fun to play. This is a game so nice I bought it twice, getting the limited edition for my Vita as well. 2016's pick of Tokyo Mirage Sessions #FE is another one that a lot of people might raise an eyebrow at, but I had a blast playing it from start to finish. The combination of Persona-style characters and gameplay with a dash of Fire Emblem aesthetics focusing around idols in Tokyo? That is right down my alley. The battle system surprisingly was one of the most enjoyable parts of the game, and saw me trying to get higher and higher combos by switching new characters in and making them sing. It makes sense if you play, I swear. The story isn't going to rock your world, but it was a fun game that I was happy to play. Since only Wii U owners got to experience it before, if you have a Switch, I recommend picking up the port coming out in 2020. 2017 is the only year I'm going to bring up honorable mentions, mostly because had these games come out any other year, they probably would have been my pick. Resident Evil 7, especially played with PSVR, was a ton of fun and a great return to survival horror for the series. Nier Automata, or Automata, or however you want to say it, finally brought one of Yoko Taro's creations to the attention of mainstream gamers, and the stellar reviews it got were well deserved. However, me being me, it's pretty obvious that Persona 5 had to be my pick for Game of the Year 2017. Persona 5 just pops from the music to the character designs, and oh man, that UI. The menu changes made battles and general menu usage so much slicker and easy. The addition of stealth and special actions in dungeons made exploring them much more interesting than the procedurally generated dungeons of previous Persona games. While this isn't my favorite Persona cast, it's still a really good one with some dark pasts and twists behind every party member that unfold throughout the game. I spent a lot of time with Persona 5, and I will spend a lot more time playing the Royal version coming out in 2020. No regrets. 2018 has me choosing a game where everyone is here! Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It is the only fighting game that has actually made me train and want to get good. Now, I didn't get very good, but I actually spent some time figuring out the characters I liked best and even how to do certain moves and combos, where normally I just mash buttons and hope some crazy level obstacle kills people for me. There are so many characters and playstyles to choose from, it's a little overwhelming, but seeing characters from different games and genres beating the crap out of each other never gets old. At the end of the decade, 2019, my choice is AI The Somnium Files. Without spoiling anything, this game has my favorite video game ending ever. Depending on the first routes you take, it may seem like a typical crime-solving game, but whoa, the plot gets weird later on. The puzzle solving can be a little stressful, but some of the funny actions you can take, as well as being able to start them over with no penalties, changes the stress to enjoyment. There's a lot going on in this game, and the tonal whiplash from violence and gore 1 minute to goofy faces and dancing the next kept me on my toes through the whole thing, never knowing what would happen next. AI The Somnium Files, created by Kotaro Uchikoshi, is a good segue into my last pick and what I consider the best franchise of the decade. The Zero Escape Trilogy, consisting of 999, Virtue's Last Reward, and Zero Time Dilemma. I have the watches. I have multiple copies of the games on different systems. I've read through dozens of theories and dug through the Wikipedia, always amazed that I can find something new and crazy about the plots, ideas, and timeline for these games. The gameplay for all three games is a mix of visual novel and escape the room situations, where you need to examine areas and solve puzzles in order to move on. That's fun enough, but the real joy comes from the philosophical and psychological ideas that come through in the story. Things can go from normal to what the hell in a second. I've also learned a lot from these games, like the prisoner's dilemma, how the Monty Hall problem works, morphogenetic fields, and even synchronicity, which, fun fact, was mentioned when I started watching the Baki anime on Netflix, giving me a, "Oh, I know about this" moment. I don't want to spoil anything because the story and connections between the games and characters is amazing. Each game on its own would have been my pick for the year they came out, but because I love them so much, I decided to make the whole Zero Escape Trilogy my pick for the decade. I know my picks are kind of weird, but that's just my style of gaming. I am legit interested in what other people chose for their best games, so please leave a comment or link to your own videos so I can go, "Oh yeah, that was a good game," or "What? You liked that better?" It's all in fun, as games should be. Okay, that's it! Happy 2020! It's time to go enjoy a whole new decade of games. It's a veggie BLT pita! I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway.